Good afternoon, Benjamin Hadfield. Teach me to dive, doing a first dive with the Suunto Ocean Computer. Now, make sure you understand this computer before you decide to go dive it just like we did. Now, as we kind of look at this, it definitely has that really nice automatic dive start that is programmable. And we really like that you can change the depth at point where that will automatically start. So if you're a swimmer or something like that, you can actually change the depth where it changes from normal mode to dive mode. Other cool things we like, 40-hour battery life, absolutely big, bright, easy to read screen, and we love the price point on this. $899.95 for the computer, $1199.95 for the computer and a transmitter as well. It's got all the cool features that you'd want, 100 meter waterproof depth rating as well. Other key features that we like, 10 transmitters assignable and nameable as well. You can get about 6 feet away from that as well. They are wireless transmitters and you can name them. So for example, if you're diving with your wife or your significant other, you can name the pods on your computer so you can see, hey, what is her gas? Now, just keep in mind, you have to be pretty close to her to be able to see what that gas is as well. Now, other cool things, this one does something a little different. I like the arch on this, and this is the NDL Arch that we're looking at currently, and it goes green. It says, okay, wait a minute, you had 12 minutes left of, now 11 minutes left of NDL, and it does an arch as well. So it goes all the way from 0 to 99, and if it's in green, you're good to go. You're in non-decompression mode. If it goes into orange, you're kicking into that as well, and you need to be aware. And if it goes red, you are in hardcore deco, and you need to be careful of that. If you don't understand deco, don't go into deco. Simple enough. On the right hand side, there's 3 buttons. Top button changes the gas, center button changes the arch, and the bottom button changes the viewable window there at the bottom. So there's really simple things, really easy to work with. I like it that it had 3 buttons. Every guy can understand that very simply as well. And everything was lit up and very clear, easy to read. As we kind of look through this, you kind of get the idea. This is the gas arch we're looking at, and it's divided out very nice, very simply, very easy to read as well. So now I've got an idea where my gas is, and I can still change over, and I can see other features as well that I like. And that's one of the big things, is I always like to be able to see my gas as well as what's going on as well. Gas time remaining, it says I'm at 56 minutes and left of gas time remaining, which is kind of nice, and it's kind of getting a judgment based upon my breathing rate as well. Other things you can change that bottom window to. You can change it to the temperature, the max depth, battery, tank pressure, gas consumption rate, gas time, safety stop, total time to service, and your actual partial pressure. Showing that we're diving air today, and I went in through those others from the manual as well, so you can see other things that you can see in that bottom window. And again, it's super easy to see, super easy to read, and it's super easy to work with as well. The AMOLED screen was nice and is bright, very clear, easy to read. Push that bottom button, boom, it changed it over to something else. So we liked this. We like it simple. And as for a recreational computer, I really think this is a really nice recreational computer. Great price point, easy to read, and it's easy to set up and easy to work with just about any diver as well. The other things you might be asking yourself, how about conservativeness? How does it work with conservative? Can I make it more conservative? Yes. They've changed these, and now Buhlmann is the default and the only algorithm it uses. This uses the 16C, which we really like. Suunto is one of those people, though, they like to add their own little implementation to that code, so it definitely is a little more conservative than the average dive computer that you might get, because Suunto does add that additional safety factor as well. So you get into deco a little faster with this. You definitely have to be aware of that. Now, if you're diving with your buddies and all of a sudden they're 20 minutes from deco and you're not, so just be aware this is definitely a nice, safe computer, and one that I would highly recommend for newer divers as well, because it was easy to work with and it's easy to set that safety factor as well in gradient factors. Now, if you don't understand what gradient factors are, please, please, please take your time, read the manual. Even guys can read the manual. I promise you it's not that complicated, but get an understanding of what that really means and what those are. And we'll talk a little bit about that gradient factor, what that means to you. So gradient factor is divided up into 2 sides, and it's got the GF low, GF high, and easy enough to understand. The gradient factor low is the depth of your first stop. And so that's at that point where your M value is coming up, and it creates the point of your first stop based upon the Buhlmann algorithm. Okay, simple enough. Gradient factor high is the length of your last stop. So as you kind of go through this, you kind of get the idea that, wait a minute, it's going to stop me at one point to let me kind of cool off and let some of that gas and that nitrogen kind of blow off. And then the gradient factor high is not going to let me out of the water. until I'm at a nice, safe place. Now, good, again, please go through, read the manual and understand what that means. Now, we did just so you're aware, we set this at our gradient factor of 50, 85, and that's a default gradient factor that I use a lot for my technical diving. It's a little bit more conservative than a recreational mode, but I tend to do a lot of big dives where I need the extra conservativeness as well. Other things, it does have vibration alerts. It was very loud. I could hear the vibration alerts very clearly as well. And you see at this point, we've broken into deco. And so it immediately popped in. As soon as we hit deco, it said, wait a minute, 3 minutes. You're stuck at 3 minutes of deco, and you can see it quickly building up as well. So here's what it's looking like. It's telling us that our safety stop our deco stop is at 10 feet, and we now have 5 minutes of deco time that we need to be aware of. We're at 96 feet, 16 minutes into this dive. Very clearly, easy to read our gas pressure. Now, again, if you are not familiar with deco mode, please don't go into it. This computer was built for recreational diving. Now, you can use multiple gases, and you can start touching and dancing in with the devil into that technical diver mode that we all get into. Not all of us, but some of us, like myself, get into because we just like those deeper, longer, and more fun dives. But always dive with a buddy. Always use a backup device, because these computers do fail from time to time. And over the years, I've had dive computers fail on me mid-dive unexpectedly. And that's just part of diving. If something's going to fail, it's going to fail eventually if you dive long enough. Other than that, simple computer to use. I know I've said that a lot, but it really was. I'd played with this computer maybe 5-10 minutes. I got a little brief tutorial on it in that 5 minutes, and then I kind of glanced through the manual to get a better understanding of what I was looking at as well. Now, be aware, here's our gas arch again. Cool things. The lines represent 50 or 500 psi, depending on the unit setting. If you get under 1,000 psi, that goes orange. And if you get under 50 bar or 750 psi or less, it goes into the red. It says, dude, you should be at the surface. So if you get into red, that means you're at the wrong place, doing the wrong thing. Make sure to dive conservatively. Plan your dive your plan, and take the time to understand what you're doing in diving as well. Now, we really went out on the edge of this computer. It can do up to 50 minutes of deco time. We took it pretty far into that. As you can see, we're already at 11 minutes of deco time, 98 feet, 22 minutes in this dive. Now, some of the factors involved with that, this is a high elevation dive. We're diving 5,000 foot elevation. Yes, I am diving a dry suit because it is a little chilly. I think it got down into the high 40s on this dive, out to the 99 feet. So it definitely was one of those things we wanted to make sure that we were safe as well as taken care of. You can see we're 2,100, 2,200 PSI at this point. At 23 minutes into the dive. So we're definitely sucking some gas. We're at some depth out in the middle of nowhere, but limited visibility. The lake visibility for this dive was about 20 feet. Could we see this computer without the light? Absolutely. Very bright, easy to read screen as we kind of went through this process. Dive setup, it does have 2 modes, be aware. It does have single gas mode and multi-gas. Now in single gas mode, obviously that upper button is disabled, but if you go into multi-gas mode, it gives you that ability to do multiple gases, and you can do actually quite a few gases, which is surprising considering they're all versions of nitrox, and you can program them up to all those pods that we talked about earlier as well. Other things to be aware of, you do have that single tank and multi-tank mode as well. Simple, easy to work with. Single gas mode on this is best suited for non-decompression recreational diving with only one gas, air or nitrox. Air or nitrox mix, and you can activate it up to 1 pod. So you can only have 1 pod per gas as well. It's one of the interesting things on this. Can you use this computer for side mount? Yes. Is it a good side mount computer? Unfortunately, no. Because you're able to only program 1 gas per, you can only have 121%, 122%, 123%, so on and so on. And just the way it's set up, you can't see the different pods all at the same time. It makes it a little bit more difficult. So in terms of favorite side mount computers, this isn't it. But that's not really what this computer is made for. It's really designed for that recreational diver that wants to go from beginning, I don't know anything, to all the way up to I know a lot, and I'm getting ready to break into a little technical diving. Maybe I want to do a deco procedures class where I'm using a single deco gas on that. Twin sets, single tank back mount, something like that. fantastic. Perfect computer for that. It does a terrific job and gives you enough information to make sure that you are safe. And that's always the goal. Make sure you're safe. So again, you can do up to 5 gases on this, any version of air, up to 99% nitrox on this as well. So now if you are breaking that magic 40% nitrox, please make sure you take a decompression course. In that advanced deco procedures is definitely a good one to take. Anything like that to make sure that you are certified before you jump in the water and start breathing that high partial pressure of oxygen. If you don't understand what it is, you probably shouldn't be doing it. As you can see, we're kind of building up that deco. It's really hitting that higher mark. We're finally at that 27 minutes. I think we got up to like 28 or 29 minutes of deco on this dive. Before I was like, yeah, maybe we should start heading up. Maybe it's time to go ahead and get shallower. Actually, you can see we were already getting shallower, but because we're below that bigger depth, we're at that 67, we're still building deco at this point, right? In that, one of those ideas is, here's a perfect example. Why shouldn't I do deep stops? Well, here's why. You can see that I'm at 60 feet and I'm still building deco with this as well. Other things I liked, big, bold, bright, in the middle, you've got those 2 arrows, 3 arrows now, up to 5 arrows. And that gives you an idea of what your ascent is. Simple enough, we all understand, because we're human, that green is good, yellow is not good, red means what? Stop? Yes, no kidding, right? As we go through this, you can see very quickly we're up to 48, 47 feet. We're up to 29 minutes of deco. Whew, we really built up some deco this dive. We're running air at 5,000 foot elevation, and that definitely makes a huge difference on this as well. Now you're finally ready for our review on this with stars. Now we rated this very closely and we talked about this and thought about this very much. And we thought about, out of 5 stars, price point, fantastic. This is a very inexpensive full feature dive computer that's very simple. Brightness, that AMOLED screen, bright, easy to read. In pitch black, I could read this very simply, very easily. And readability, the numbers were large enough that I could see them as well. I also like the battery life on this. We've been kind of testing this to see how long it would go without a charge, and it's doing pretty good so far. Definitely made it through this dive with plenty battery life left. Usability, 5 stars again, simple. It had 3 buttons. Anybody could use this. It wasn't all that complicated. It does take a little bit of reading on the service features, but the dive features, bada bing, bada boom, we had no problem about this as well. Several people in our dive shop has been wearing this dive computer as a regular basis and kind of beating it up, and we're not very gentle on stuff. So durability, it's a Suunto. So I like Suunto. They're a tough brand. Definitely cool stuff comes out of Finland as well. The transmitters, this is not our first Suunto computer either, and we've never had issues with the Suunto pods ever. They've been clear. They've been easy to put together. They've been easy to program together. I've never really had an issue with a Suunto pod. So if you had a problem with that, please put in the comments, let me know what you had. Now size, it is a wrist-mounted computer, so we got a 4 stars on this. Simply for the fact that wrist-mounted computers are more difficult to read than a full console computer. So this is literally about half the size of the Eon Core or Eon Black. So definitely, if you're an old guy and you need glasses, this may not be the best computer, or at least get inserts into your mask as well, because that might make your life easier as well. Service. Suunto is a very large corporation, and they work hard to make sure, but by comparison, it's a little bit more work to deal with service than you might think. But it still was a 4-star for us, which is fantastic. That is absolutely good stuff right there. Features. We felt like they could have added some more features, but this is pretty consistent across the board with all Suuntos. They like their features, and that's the features you get, and that's the features you have. And so there's other things that we would like to see them add to this that we've seen on other dive computers as well that would be pretty simple to add. We'd like a surface gradient, maybe a gas density, a few things like that you can add in there as well. So features, because it's basic features, there's slam bam, thank you ma'am, we gave it a 2-star. Technical use, this is not designed to be a technical computer. Yes, you can get into like advanced nitrox or something with this, but that's about as far as you're going to go. And because of its conservativeness on that as well, you're definitely going to be working a little harder to use this for technical diving. So my suggestion is just don't use this for technical diving. It's not really designed for that. Yes, we kind of pushed this out to its limits. We got up to literally more than 50% of its available deco that it has listed out on there as well. We also played with this a little bit as well. So we'll talk about what we're doing right here in just a moment. We definitely wanted to break it to see what would happen if we broke it. And it absolutely didn't like that. It didn't like doing a stop like that with 21 minutes of deco. We popped at the surface. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now, on our other computers that we ran at normal factors, we were fine. We had plenty of time. So please don't do that yourself. But I wanted to see what happened if we broke sealing and we violated the algorithm. So that's what we're doing right there. Just in case you're wondering, that's what it looks like. And through the whole rest of the dive, we had that warning symbol that you broke the algorithm, and it didn't like that at all. So overall, technical use, it's just not my favorite. Recreational use, this is a fantastic 5-star recreational use computer. Side mount mode, it will do side mount, not very well. It's not really a happy side mount computer. It's just not built to be that way. They weren't really thinking side mount at that. And customization, it really doesn't have much customization. It comes from Finland. It reminds me very much of IKEA. This is how it is, and this is how you shall get it, and this is how you shall use it. So not to make fun of the Finnish people. I love them. Absolutely. My wife and I are just love the Finnish and love Finland as well. It's fantastic. But customization is just not a customizable computer. This is what you get. You can't change the field in the deco. You can't change the dive time field. You can't change. The only thing that changes is that bottom window where you currently see the PSI on there. So in terms of customization, it's just not that computer. But again, I go back to recreational use, price point, brightness, and readability, and simplicity. If you are a new diver and you're looking for just a really great, easy to use computer, this is probably it. It has a lot of really cool service data features that we're not going to go into in this video, and we're not going to talk about it all really. And overall, that it does really nicely. You can go on runs, you can do marathons. It's got GPS on it as well. It'll mark your entry point and your exit point for your dive, which is really nice. That's just a really cool feature. It makes it easier to, when you're going in, and yes, you should be logging all your dives, but it makes it nice and easy. What dive site was that? Where was I at? And my wife and I do that all the time. We'll get on some sort of boat, we'll go out, and we're gonna do 2 dives on a boat, and man, I never remember the dive sites, to be honest with you. They always tell us. I'm more needing to know where the reef goes, what the current is, and follow along. Where will the boat be to pick my butt up? So that's more what I'm looking for in a dive. The name of the dive site is usually about the 5th tier of information that I really care about. I want to see pretty fish and things like that. So overall, what did we think? Great computer, simple to read, easy to use, clear and concise information. You can see we're finally at 18 minutes of deco, 1400 PSI on our tank. So as you can see, we got plenty of gas. We're going through about just over half a cubic foot of gas a minute here. We're kicking along pretty fast. It was colder. Wanted to get this dive out of the way. This was a nice, easy morning dive as well. And I even found a fishing rod. You can see it there in the background as well. So 17 minutes of deco. I've got 63 minutes of gas time remaining based upon my gas consumption as well. So very simple, easy to use. Definitely gives you that information that where am I at? What's going on? I've got 17 minutes of deco left, 74 minutes into this dive. We're at 24 feet. We're kicking along. We're doing our deco stop. Now, I did want to do that final deco stop give us a 10-foot ceiling, which is a pretty aggressive. I don't know if you can change out that final stop or not on this. I haven't found that in the manual yet or not, but it definitely aggressively changed that ceiling. And that's one of the things on this is if you're going up to a 10-foot ceiling, that's a pretty hard, fast gradient factor drop, and you're definitely off-gassing fairly quickly as well. So just be aware of that. Understand if you're going to go into deco, please take a class from a real human, not YouTube, not Facebook, or not some book you bought on Amazon. Take it from a certified decompression specialties or technical diving instructor who actually has taken this course, understands this course, and can teach you legibly as well, and actually certify you, and that make sure they're actually certified with an agency as well. Definitely just some pro tips there. Other things as well. I just can't speak highly enough of this computer. I did find it funny that it left that violation on the screen in about that 10 o'clock position for the whole rest of the dive. It was like, dude, you have done wrong. You should not have done that. That's my French accent. Sorry, I don't do a Finnish accent. But anyway, it was very, very much in your face throughout the whole dive, that bad things. And I guess I kind of like that in that it tells you, okay, you violated, bad things happen. You should probably spend a little extra time at your deco stop, a little extra time at your safety stop as well. We weren't doing a really good job of keeping it their safety stop. I'm more in the line of keeping it under 20 feet for my safety stop. I still had a long time to go, and I was kicking along trying to get to the right place as well, where my exit point was. I knew where I was at and what was going on. So definitely it was really pretty simple for me to get there, right? I just want to make sure I was going to the right place. But you can still see, even at 25 feet, we're kicking that deco time off, 300% sped up on this. So just be aware of that. Now we're finally at that hour mark on this dive, 22 feet. Other things I liked, this does a progressive safety stop. What does that mean? What it means is at the end of this, it's going to take a look at the overall dive. And if you did a lot of fast ascents and you did a lot of things that are of concern, it'll give you a longer safety stop. If you did a really nice job of coming up and slowly letting that gas off, and that's kind of what we're doing. We're at 23 feet. We're allowing that nitrogen to come out of our system a little slower than what it initially asking for, because it still wants us to go up to a ceiling of 10 feet. I just wasn't willing to do that. That was way too shallow for my safety stop or my deco stop. So I just did what I know and what I prefer, which is a 20-foot safety stop. Gives me a little slower off-gassing as well. You can see finally it's like, whoa, you're almost there, dude. You're almost there. And what it does is it switches over and it wants you to come up to that actual safety stop point, right? So it gives you that information. And again, I like this arch. The arch is really simple, easy to use. You can take a view of that. You can get an idea what's going on with that. Now, finally, we're just at that point. We're just going to hang out here for a little bit. Now we're down to 10 minutes left on our deco time. We've got 22 feet. We've got 1,291 PSI left in our tank. So we're doing really good on this. In terms of using the rule of thirds, we've done a really nice job here. We've still got 1,200 pounds of pressure to go through. That means 281 PSI for 10 minutes. Can we do it? Can we do it? I think we can do it overall. Again, you're looking at the deco arch there on the left-hand side. You can see the scent meter on there as well. We went in and hung out here just for a little bit, just to make sure. As you can see, we had 49 minutes left of gas, so I think we're gonna be okay. It's definitely not a stressful thing at that point overall. You can also see we're starting to ascend a little bit, and it says, wait a minute, you're close to your deco stop, so you are in range. Go ahead and ascend a little bit, or just you're in that range now, it kicks it off. Now you're not at your deco stop level again. So it wants you to go up to a ceiling of within 9 feet, 10 feet of your actual deco stop. So you can see it there at the bottom. It's just telling you your ceiling is 10 feet. Your scent meter, you're finally down to 7 feet, 7 minutes left in our deco time. You can see that it says we're at our deco stop, and so it's gonna be able to off gas correctly and give you that timer a little bit more accurately as well. And that's one of the things about all these computers. If you don't go to where the ceiling is, your deco stop time will not be as accurate as you would like it to be. And overall, you can see that we're now at 5 minutes, we're at 11 feet. I went ahead and came up to that point so that we knew what was going on and that it was able to off gas at a correct speed. And what you'll start noticing is that deco time will start sucking down a little bit faster at a more normal rate. We're gonna kick out here, just hang out at the 11-foot mark at our deco time. We're making sure to stay well below that ceiling. So we're a foot below the ceiling. Hanging out, 3 minutes left, almost there, almost there. An hour and 10 minutes of dive time, down to 2 minutes. You can see that arch going down. Overall, we love this computer. Our rating on this, should you buy this computer if you're a new diver? Absolutely. If you're an advanced open water diver, should you buy this computer? This is a great computer, absolutely. Are you a master diver? Absolutely, this is a great computer. This is a great computer as well for dive guides. You can see finally we kicked out of deco stop, and now we're at our safety stop, and you can see kind of how fast that's kicking along. That arch now is kicked back over to NDL mode, and you can see we're just about into the orange when it comes to our gas as well. 92% battery life, the hour and 12-minute dive, you can see we still have 92%. So battery life, yay, very nice battery life, very great battery life. So I really like that. Again, I just love that it's got that violation notification up there in the corner. It says, you violated, that you shouldn't have done that. And you're right, we shouldn't have, but we wanted to see what it looked like, wanted to be able to show you as well. Deco stop done, we can clear out of that but simply by pushing that bottom button. Give us all the rest of the information. We're still at 1,200 PSI. I think we did okay. We're definitely in rule of thirds. We've still got a third of our gas left. We're just getting ready to crack into that last little bit on there as well. You can see we're ascending out. Remember, green means good on that ascent meter, yellow means slow down, and red means stop. You're going way too daggum fast. Other thing that I was super impressed with this is really easy to read on the surface as well. Again, Benjamin Hadfield, Teach Me to Dive. Make sure to subscribe and share this video with your friends, family, and anybody else that'll listen.